Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Ayman Safadi warned of the serious consequences of the continued financial deficit facing the United Nations Relief and Works Agency UNRWA. During a telephone call with UNRWA Commissioner General Pierre Krohenbol, Safadi outlined the challenges facing the agency and steps that the Kingdom and the agency will take to provide the necessary support to ensure the agency's ability to provide educational, health and relief services to Palestinian refugees. Safadi said that enabling UNRWA to continue its services is an international responsibility towards the refugees, whose issue is one of the most important final status issues that must be resolved on the basis of the relevant international legitimacy resolutions, particularly UN Resolution 194 and the Arab Peace Initiative. In March, the Kingdom organized an international conference in Rome to support UNRWA in coordination with Egypt. The conference, which generated over $100 million in financial support, was attended by more than 70 countries. A total of 118,000 Jordanians applied for jobs in Qatar through a Jordanian-Qatari job platform. Labour Ministry spokesperson Mohammed Al-Khatib said in a statement that since the launch of the website last week, the number of online entries has reached 500,000, causing pressure on the platform's servers. However, he added that this does not necessarily mean that those who tried to register or actually registered are in Jordan or unemployed. The Qatari Ministry of Administrative Development, Labour and Social Affairs will now start the process of data analysis and classification before coordinating with the public and private sectors to identify specialities and professions needed to start the recruitment process, the statement added. Scores of mourners attended a funeral procession for a Palestinian teenager who was shot by Israeli live fire during yesterday's border protest and later died of his wounds. 15-year-old Mu'adh Ziad Assouri was one of two Palestinians killed in Friday's protest, in which at least 220 others were wounded. At least 157 Palestinians have been killed during more than 4 months of weekly Friday border protests that began on March 30th. Russia's army today confirmed it sent a letter to the United States last month with a proposal to cooperate on rebuilding Syria and repatriating refugees after it was reported in the media. The Russian Army's Chief of Staff had sent a letter to the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff saying Moscow is willing to cooperate with Washington in demining the war-torn country and helping refugees return to their homes. Russia's defense ministry said in a statement that the letter was in part about the readiness of the Russian side to work with the Syrian authorities to provide security guarantees to refugees in the Rukban camp. Moscow also suggested the two countries coordinate in demining the country, including the city of Raqqa, and address other priority humanitarian issues for the urgent establishment of peaceful life in Syria. 18 people died when a Russian helicopter crashed on its way to an oil station in northern Siberia in the early hours of the morning. The Russian Transport Ministry said the Mi-8 helicopter, carrying 3 crew members and 15 passengers, crashed when it collided with machinery carried by another helicopter soon after takeoff. The second helicopter landed safely. The ministry said it created a commission to investigate the crash, while the country's investigative committee said it opened a criminal investigation. North Korea has violated a number of sanctions by the United Nations, most notably continuing their nuclear weapons and missile program. The 149-page confidential UN report also says Pyongyang has resorted to a massive increase of illegal ship-to-ship transfers of oil products and has been trying to sell weapons abroad. The report comes days after reports suggesting the North is developing new missiles. Here's the story.
North Korea hasn't stopped its nuclear and missile program and has been trying to sell weapons to Yemen's Houthis, all a violation of United Nations sanctions. That's according to a report commissioned by the UN Security Council, It also says Pyongyang, quote, continued to defy Security Council resolutions through a massive increase in illicit ship-to-ship transfers of petroleum products, and that North Korea is cooperating militarily with Syria. The isolated nation hasn't yet commented on the report. However, its foreign minister said on Saturday that he was increasingly alarmed by US attitudes towards his country, but stated North Korea remains firm in its determination to implement the nuclear deal it reached with Washington in June. His comments follow a week where US spy satellites detected renewed activity at a North Korean missile factory. And US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo suggested that continued work on weapons programs was inconsistent with leader Kim Jong-un's commitment to denuclearize. However, Pompeo said on Saturday he remains optimistic.
The process of achieving denuclearization of the North Korean peninsula is one that I think we have all known would take some time. We're determined to do it. Chairman Kim is committed to doing it. I'm optimistic that we will get this done in the timeline.
Pompeo is in Singapore attending a regional conference where he shook hands and exchanged words with North Korea's foreign minister during a group photo session. He's been pressing Southeast Asian countries to maintain sanctions on North Korea, saying it's important to maintain diplomatic and economic pressure.
In a bid to tackle waste and environmental damage, Lego unveiled its first range of sustainable Lego pieces at London's Natural History Museum. The green-coloured range includes leaves, bushes and trees made entirely from plant-based plastic. The new elements are made from polyethylene, a soft, durable plastic that can now be produced with ethanol extracted from natural sugarcane material. Lego says it aims to be using 100% sustainable materials packaging by 2030. In sports, Italian Andrea Dovizioso clinched his first pole position in 2 years with a stunning final lap in an intense MotoGP qualifying in Brno, Czech Republic, to see out Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez in a hotly fought front row. The Ducati rider left it until his final flying lap to produce a lap record of 1 minute 54.689 seconds to beat Rossi's short-lived provisional pole time by a quarter of a second, displacing Marquez from top spot with his own final lap. 4 times MotoGP champion Marquez won at the Czech track last year and leads Rossi in the championship by 46 points after 9 races. Tomorrow's race will be the 10th race of 19 scheduled for the racing calendar this year, and the next race will be in Austria on the 12th. And finally, for a quick look at the weather, normal summer conditions are expected tomorrow as temperatures slightly rise to become around seasonal average. Amman can expect a high of 32 degrees Celsius and a low of 18, while winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk. In the Gulf of Aqaba, hot conditions prevail with daytime temperatures at 40 degrees, dropping down to 28 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Ali Atuqan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.